Welcome to the after show for Super Soul Conversations. This is Super Soul Sitdown, and we're feeling crazy brave over here. Stay tuned because poetry is like singing on paper. Let's do this.
You're tuned into Black Hollywood Live, the world's first digital broadcast network devoted entirely to urban entertainment and pop culture. Tune in right now.
Hey, this beat makes me want to freestyle.
Happy Monday.
Yes.
Okay.
What's going on, y'all? And welcome to Super Soul Sit Down. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us here today on Super Soul Sit Down, the after show for Oprah's podcast, Super Soul Conversations. And today we are going to have a very important conversation about poetry, knowing history, and just being a crazy, brave woman or man in this world. I am your ever excited to be here host, Jamie Alexander, and to my left is the amazing Haley J.
Hello, hello. What's up, everyone? I'm Haley J. And like always, we've got really deep conversations to dive into. Not a lot of time. So, Jamie, take it away.
Yes, let's do this. So this Super Soul conversation was based on Crazy Brave, which is a memoir written by Harjo. Joy Harjo is an internationally renowned performer and writer of the Muscogee Creek Nation. She's an American poet, musician, and author, and the first Native American as the United States Poet Laureate. She was actually the 23rd person. So her memoir, Crazy Brave, is what caught the attention of Oprah Winfrey and the basis of this Super Soul conversation for this evening. So what did you think? There is so much to unpack with this episode, you guys.
Where do I start?
This woman, as you can see in the picture, when I look at her, I see fearlessness, I see tenderness, boldness, wild freedom. Like, I just get so much from just looking at this
You know
woman.
what? She really is that mix of approachable yet confident and secure.
Yes.
But one that I could walk up to. It's kind of like Oprah. It's one that I could walk up to, and I say that now. If I saw Oprah, I don't know if I would just be walking up to her. But she does have that look where it's inviting yet confident in her own skin, and I like that, and that's something I strive to be.
Yeah.
And listening back, obviously, I had to listen to this a couple times. She has quite the story, and every time, I'd say I listened to it about 3 times, and each time the line that stood out to me the most, I have to say, is from Oprah when she said that we all come in trailing the breath of the angels. That just like got to me every single time, right? Every single time I had a wow moment, because it kind of, if you ever feel like you're searching for your purpose or your value and what the plan is of your life, just realizing you come in with such force and intention kind of reinstills that mentality that we are here for a reason, and we haven't maybe discovered it yet, but there is purpose behind our presence. So that stood out to me.
Yeah.
And then also just her upbringing. Obviously, we can start with her being a teenage mother. I can't relate to that experience, and just babysitting makes it seem like that would be extremely difficult to deal with. And she had an abusive father. We always talk about on this show when we choose love and fear, and always to choose love. But what I found so interesting about Joy's story is that she's feeling both at the same time, where she was both fearful of her father, but she also loved him. So what did you think of that when you truly feel both emotions towards someone?
I mean, I think it's very valuable to be able to tap into the totality of what's available when it comes to our feelings and emotions. And I think that makes it kind of realistic, right? Because we have these moments when you're dealing with somebody, it's your father. Now, granted, it's a stepfather. Still, there's a love there when somebody is feeding you, putting food on the table, all of these things. But I think it's very human to love someone, but then, I don't want to say love hate, but kind of have that thing within you that is a juxtaposition to the love. That's where all the nuances of life come from. I even think when you're studying to be an actor or something, right? The great actors, you can see the story that they're painting in the juxtaposition in their face. You know what I mean? When you can bring different nuances that are opposite to each other. So I love that she was able to identify it and relay it in a way that we can understand, because I think we all feel those at some time.
And honestly, what a great example of someone that comes from such hard times but doesn't allow that to define their life in that future. And she was one of those people that said, okay, this was my upbringing. I wasn't happy as a child.
Right.
So now moving forward, I will be the one to change the pattern. And a lot of times we do see people just like they talked about with, her father, I believe she said, went through abuse and he took it out on her, and
That's the
she
thing.
decided to break the cycle. And I think that's very powerful and not easy to do.
No, definitely not easy to do, especially being a teen mom. She could have went the abusive route and been frustrated with what
Absolutely.
she didn't get and all of these things, but it's true. I love that so much because it gives you a sense of empathy and compassion for people when you're coming across them. Unfortunately, we don't know what people went through, and a lot of the times when people are mean or grouchy or abusive, it doesn't excuse their behavior, but at the same time, it makes you think like, dang, like, what happened to them? And it is a cycle that needs to be broken. And I believe that's what we're here for in this lifetime, to break generational curses and cycles for our children and our children to come, for our family, So I really love that she was able to overcome that. One of the things that was so powerful to me about her was her sensitivity as a baby. That's pretty mind-blowing.
We got to talk about this because I wish so badly that I had memories as an infant, or even like we were talking about before. The farthest I go back, really, to my knowledge, is about 5. I don't remember that much as a child. So to hear her say, and I'll be honest, a part of me kind of wanted to say BS, like, you don't remember
Like
coming
how?
into the earth. But then the more she talked, the more I believed her, and I do believe her at this point. But maybe I like that Oprah also said this is not something that I am at right now, because Oprah even acknowledged that she does believe that children come into the world with memories and they do know their story, and that we kind of lose it as we go through life.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I think it felt a little validating to me to hear Oprah say, you know what, I'm not there quite yet with I Want to Be a Stone story, but maybe I'll get there.
Yeah.
So maybe it's how it is for me, where right now I can't say I have those memories, but just like you said earlier about maybe it's a sound or something I haven't experienced yet that will trigger that memory. Maybe it's there and I just need to uncover it.
Yeah, I definitely think we have those memories. I can definitely remember being under 2 years old. I remember my little, and it's pieces, but I remember my little Reebok shoe and like having the Velcro to
Oh
put the
my
Velcro
gosh.
over. I remember a little Smurf head because I used to stick my thumb in the Smurf head. It was like a little plastic Smurf with a hole in the bottom. So that part. And I did this practice with my dad once, and I'm like, Dad, I think I remember our house in Arizona, and we moved from there when I was 2. So he was like, oh, that's impossible. But as I started to draw what I saw, he was like, that's crazy. So I definitely believe, I can't say I remember coming out my mom's womb or anything like that.
I don't think I'd want to remember that.
I know, graphic, sorry about that. But I can say that I definitely believe, because of the way the world is set up, and we've talked about this on so many other shows we've had, is it's such a distraction from everything that we are that we quickly forget what we are. Children are so innocent and they absorb information so quickly and from all these other places that I believe it could be a distraction to what they have or what kids already have in their minds,
Yeah. And how much of a fighter does it speak to Joe's character that she, or Joy's character?
I did that earlier. I was like, Joe. I was like, wait, did I really say Joe?
Say Joy. Joy's character, that she remembers struggling and fighting to be here and not wanting to be here. So the fact that she's been through so much, and especially to see her now as the first Native American to be named the nation's poet, and she started off with her stepfather reading her journal. I would be absolutely mortified if someone took my most trusted, safe place, especially as a child, and read it out loud as a joke to make a mockery of her inner thoughts and something that's so personal. And instead of, she could have quit that day. And I know she said that it was obviously a difficult time and she didn't want to write, but she obviously overcame that. And just thinking, that's how she started off as an infant, fighting for her life. And clearly she had quite the story to tell. So she needed to be here because we needed this from her in our own selfish way. We needed to hear her story.
Yeah, I agree. And a note that I put down when we learned about her stepdad stealing her journal and kind of reading it out loud and making a mockery, is I wrote a note saying, sometimes you know where your gift is by seeing where the attack is. So where you're attacked is probably the gift that needs to push forward. So that same fight that she had to experience coming into this world, I imagine was parallel to the fight she had to do to get over that and continue writing again, which ended up being the end-all be-all for, well, not the end-all be-all, but one of the major triumphs in her life. So it just kind of speaks to the fight that we kind of have to go through, unfortunately, to get to the other side. But I encourage, everybody watching, that notice where your biggest attack is. Is somebody always making fun of your voice or the way you look or something like that? Whatever it is, you're probably going to be the next biggest speaker. You're probably going to be the next face of something.
It is so true. All the people, and not all, but the majority of people in power that have some type of platform, it comes from a story. And it's like we've seen it before. It's hard to know when we don't see the ending and how beautiful all of these things have to happen for a reason to get us to those places. In the moment when you don't know the answer, it's terrifying.
Right.
But it's such a beautiful like aha moment when it does come together, and it's just believing that in your purpose, following your alignment, all these things that we're trying to practice, that shutting out those distractions is going to help us see why things are happening the way they are.
Yeah, and you deserve it no matter what, because you deserve your life, but it's also even more deserving when you overcome something for it. Like, I hate to make people feel like, oh, I earned this, like you have to earn anything. I don't think you have to. I think everything is freely given to us. However, just in a human mind, it's like, I earned this. Like, do you know how hard I had to fight to overcome this and get here? So now that she's, the 23rd, American laureate or poet laureate, it's just like her story in Crazy Brave is an inspiration because of the overcoming that she had to do.
And the whole sense of, I do believe that, things should come to us. And I even question myself sometimes where I'm like, oh, it's too good to be true. And then I'm like, why? Why can't things just be good and be true? And I don't have to fear something bad happening because good things have happened. But I also do think there's a pride and a joy knowing that you fought for something, knowing that you accomplished it and you earned it type thing. So I think it's just finding that balance of good things are allowed to happen to me, but I'm going to put myself in those positions. I'm going to work hard to be in those positions so it can all fall into place the way it should. But I do believe, we can't sit around and wish on it. You got to put that into action.
Yeah, but it's a lot of action and a lot of work. That's why we do this show and really focus on things when it comes to self-mastery, because it's the answer to everything. If you have self-mastery and you control over your mind and emotions, then I definitely believe that you can get there.
It's kind of like nothing can touch you. If you're confident in who you are,
nothing can touch you.
No one can say anything if you know your own truth.
We need that.
And that's just an everyday process.
But think about how powerful that is. People literally kill themselves because of things people say about them. We need to be able to overcome stuff like that. It's so important. Like, I cannot stress that enough. So I love that. It's amazing. And I love this part. I remember we were talking about our intuition and the way things speak in one of the other episodes that we did. And here, I love how she was able to identify that there was a spirit in the house that she moved in. So her and her family, they moved into another house with, I guess, somebody that her mom was dating. Did I get that right? But she said there was a spirit on the house and the yard was full with snakes. So she knew and
definitely
felt threatened.
Channels her intuition.
Yeah, and wondered why, her mom would even allow it. But then she was saying that she feels like her mother knew as well, but was afraid. That's a lot of layers for a child.
Well, then we found the answer to that. All these years, she's wondering why, and then turns out the stepfather threatened to kill her and her children.
Isn't that insane?
It's mind-blowing that someone could do that. But if I was a mother and I was terrified for my life and my children's life, I would be. I would hope to think at.
I'm killing that man. So
I would go to the cops. I'd find some way.
The cops. That is a Native American. No,
yeah, that's the thing. It's like,
thing.
What do you do when you truly feel so trapped? And yeah, to be such a loving and open and caring person, and like we said, just looking at her, she's like so approachable, but she could easily be a very unhappy person. Why did this happen to me?
Yes.
But she says that she had to lean into the challenge and the pain. So instead of fighting it, and I'm very guilty of this when bad things happen, my natural response is to want to fight it, but I'm really challenging myself when things don't happen the way I think they are. I say, where is the good in this?
Yeah.
Why is this happening? And just changing that mental shift, it really does. It's not like a magic fix. Like, your problem might still be there, but just looking at it from a different way helps you to heal. And she goes on to say that poetry was what let her express her thoughts. She put it into her poetry, and that those were the pathways to healing, but that healing isn't always pretty. And I like that last part because I think a lot of times it's like we go through our hardships and we heal and life is good, but just by that one line of saying healing is not always pretty,
No,
it
not even
almost gives
close.
us permission to be like, I'm struggling, dude. Like, it's not easy. I'm having a really rough time, and I'm not going to act like it's perfect because it's not. So I just think putting that nugget of real truth in there spoke to me, and I'm happy she included it because I think it's important that people know that the pathway to healing is not an easy one. You're literally repairing something that's broken.
Yeah, there's a meme going around, and I can't remember exactly because there's a couple different ones, but it's like what people think spiritual healing is and what it really looks like. And it's like this picture of somebody like meditating, flowers, everything looking great. And then what it really looks like, it's like the ugly cry, and she's like, "Wah." It's like terrible because it is a fight.
You just reminded me of something. It stuck out so much to me when she said that I wasn't given the luxury of a breakdown.
I felt her on that on so many levels because it's true. You really think that. It's like, sweetie, I've thought that so many times in my life. Like, I need to break down
here
right now, but I can't because I have to go to work. If I don't go to work, the bills aren't going to get paid. I'm not going to eat, and it's going to be a mess.
You gotta
I cannot
schedule
afford
your
to break
cries
down.
sometimes, right? Like, I've literally had the feeling, hold it together. You can cry
Can't
in your
afford it.
car. Don't cry in front of these people. You can cry in your car, girl, not here. And that feeling is terrible. I feel like we've all experienced it at some point, but it never dawned on me that having the breakdown is actually a form of a luxury because we get to release it, whether it's, the ugly cry or not. It's still coming out in a way, so that still is some form of release and therapeutic. And for her to say I didn't get even that luxury to do that was just like,
I get it.
I just felt lucky to be able to have a breakdown when I want to.
Shoot, I can't even have a breakdown now. I asked for 5 days off of work, and I gotta wait to hear about that. I need a moment in nature.
Right? Give me
And I'm
time.
like, do I just take off or do
Yeah.
I, So that's what I kind of felt when she said the luxury, because it's like, I can't fall apart. If I fall apart, the world falls apart. So I understood her when it came to that. And to what you said about, there was a comment I wanted to share. When you switch your perspective on the challenges that you're going through, it gives you an opportunity to go from victim to power.
And how easy it is to fall into that victim role.
Victim, even the word alone comes with an energy that's just like, you know what I mean? It's like womp womp. But to be able to lean in and step into your power, it sounds like you can do something about it now.
Yeah.
Like you have a choice now.
And to be fair, to give us all a little bit of wiggle room, we are trying to change patterns that we've been grown up and accustomed to believing if this happens, this is a bad thing. If you get fired, this is terrible. But now we're thinking, maybe I'm fired because I've been going in the wrong direction for so long. If I wouldn't leave, the universe is saying, hey, this is me throwing you a bone in the weirdest way that you can understand yet. But if you weren't leaving, I'm going to make you leave because now it's time to get on the right path.
I have something else for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that.
Just waiting for that something else that can be really stressful sometimes.
Really stressful.
It's just like going back to that thought.
Yeah, absolutely. And there were also some other things she had to overcome. And I know as entrepreneurs and entertainers, I'm sure at some point we've all heard this, but people telling her, you can't make money in poetry. Like, what are you doing? And it's kind of like, depending on who you are, that can really penetrate and deter you from your purpose. But this is another.
Money is the root of all evil. We have this, I think if money, like we've talked about before, wasn't so important, a lot of us, our lives would look very, very different.
Extremely different. And I kind of try to live my life, because the love of money is the root of all evil. So, but it's kind of like what we all function off of as a country, as a nation, whatever. But I try to live not thinking about it so much. Thinking about it in the sense of getting things done, but not weighing on it. Because there are things and other jobs and things I could do right now to be making more money. But then I think of the sacrifice, the weight, the this, the that, and try to maneuver and be like, okay, Jay, don't worry so much about the actual dollar amount. Just move forward from your heart.
Because at the end of the day, we don't love physical money. We love the feeling that money brings
the freedom
us.
It brings, the assistance it brings, it's really freedom. Money is really freedom.
I think there's
to help.
definitely essentials, but if we can tap into what do I really need, or what's
That
the
part.
story I tell myself I need, you can really make some changes and kind of figure out who your true friends are. Because I always felt like if I should be embarrassed to say, hey, I can't go out because I can't afford to eat at a place like this, then those aren't my real friends, and that's cool. If they're like, you need to be at this level, that's not a
Right.
friend. So thankfully, I haven't experienced that. I have very good friends that understand if I
You're like,
were
I
to say
got you
that.
this time, girl. Yeah.
But even still, like, I just probably wouldn't even put myself in that situation. But you get the point.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, something else that Oprah said, I think it was Oprah that said this, or it was Joy, but we are all stories, and we realize that when we remember who we are.
I believe that was Joy.
Yeah, so we are stories, and then she said something else, that we are always in conversation with history.
I loved that.
Now that is deep.
Well, that's very true. When you think of any time we are fearful of something, it's tracing back to something that we've either heard happening to someone else or we've experienced ourselves. It's some part of our past that determines our future, and it's just knowing the difference of, are these things correlated? Because we've talked about the mixed messages with, I'm not going to touch the hot stove if I burn myself on it already, but then there's also the idea that these bad things happening, just like I think dating makes the most sense if you were to say, let's not go into all future relationships thinking they're going to be just like my last relationship.
Right.
So that's what I think just comes with life and experiences, to realize when history can teach you and provide you a lesson, and then when it's holding you back and making you fearful. I think that just comes with life and experience.
Yeah, and when I think of us always being in conversation with history, is this moment right now. We're currently in conversation with history. When we walk out of this room, becomes our history. A week from now, this is like, we're
and
literally
we're just saying how fast life goes by.
Yeah, we literally, you and I are doing right now in this moment is a part of our history. When we have kids, if we do, God willing, like, I'd be happy to show them, look, this is something that mommy did when, and it becomes a part of the story and the things. So we're literally,
that's beautiful.
It's so amazing. We're always in conversation with history. So think about that, and with what you want to leave behind, your legacy, and what you're doing in the moment, because it's going down in history. Okay. So this was such a fun conversation. There was so much. We could go on and on about all these beautiful things because they hold such truths. But right now, I think it would be a great time to jump into some news and gossip.
Yes. So we all know Joy. I mean, I wish we had more time to just like dive into her whole life, but hopefully you guys heard the podcast. I definitely recommend going back and listening to the full podcast in detail to get her full story. But I did want to highlight, first off, DC joined over 100 cities in changing Columbus Day to...
Oh.
I jumped the gun there, sorry.
That's our news and gossip
Indigenous
music.
Peoples Day. So I think this is really important, especially Joy being a Native American, to highlight and represent her people.
Yeah, I think it would be absolutely great to change Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day, because you can't come to a country where people already are and call yourself the discoverer.
I'm going to call myself out that I definitely need to be educated on Columbus Day, and I think it's really great to see the progress we're making and how perfectly this timing goes with
needs to be done.
Our guest speaker.
Yes.
And then from BillingsGazette.com, we have Joy, who I just wanted to share this nugget of wisdom, that it's really cool that she, there's a thing called the Writer's Voice. It's a program dedicated to supporting contemporary literature and writers in the region. And they're bringing the National Endowment of the Arts Big Read to Billings. So it's held yearly. And Joy is going to, they're going to focus on her poetry collection, How We Became Human. And she's going to present a reading at 7:30 p.m. November 9th. At the Petro Theater at the Montana State University Billings campus. So it's really cool to see her. And I know that she's taught also in California. So it's very cool to see her so active and present and still pushing to get her message out and speaking to people and letting the world know her life. Like, that's beautiful through poetry.
What a woman. You go ahead, girl.
Oh, should I share my poll now, or are we waiting on that one?
Let's share the poll going. Yeah, let's share the poll now. I love when you do these polls.
So we didn't even really get to dive too much into this, but Joy talks about the fact that we're all connected in some way, that somehow this person I pass on the street has something to do with my story. And I go back and forth with this, because sometimes I'm like, did this guy I see at Ralph's have anything to do with my life that we didn't talk to at all?
But I mean, I don't think we need to take it that far. As far as us all being connected, like, think about the ocean. It's kind of like we're all drops in the ocean. So if you were to pull a camera far back and look at how we all move, like when you're looking at ants, there is like a flow to, we are all connected. It kind of just reminds me of the way the ocean is.
And do you know what this actually does make me put this all together? I heard that no matter where did I get this from, but it was definitely something I heard, but it was saying, I think it was a different podcast actually, but it was saying that even if you don't speak the language, the emotion is the same in every language. And I'm
Oh,
like, that is
yeah.
so true. That's so beautiful. A tear, obviously you could have happy tears, but we can connect with someone based on emotions alone, even if we can't understand the actual words they're saying. That to me is powerful. And my poll says, do you believe we're all connected in some way? 88% says yes, 12% says no.
Okay.
So I believe most of us think we do, and obviously there's always people that don't, but I think that's where it goes to, finding your own pathway in your journey and choosing to believe that or not. It's ultimately up to you.
Yeah, you just never know. Like, the internet is a great opportunity to show how connected we are. Because, like, you think about a tweet. If I tweet something,
gonna say that.
yes, and somebody's feeling it, they retweet. Half these people I don't even know. But when they retweet, some person in Nebraska somewhere could have read somebody's retweet from 4 retweets ago, and it impact their life. Like, it's
And
something that small.
We're definitely in Instagram culture, but I also think more than ever in the past 6 months, I've been hearing so many podcasts talk about how much people appreciate authenticity and being real and sharing their struggles. And I do feel like it's a balance where I'm really not trying to see someone complain every single day on social media, but I appreciate the realness. I appreciate, and I'm all about a pretty photo and an edit, but I do think there's a line of let's not live this false narrative. Let's not worry so much about who we are online versus who we are in person. And
Yes.
ultimately, like, let's just be nice to people. Let's be kind. Let's not think that having more followers than another person makes us so much more elevated, because if that's how you define your worth, I think that your happiness is very short-lived, because
Yeah.
Instagram is not going to be, you can't take that with you when you die. So
Yeah, not only that, but if you're basing who you are off of what you have, again, when you don't have that, then
what
you're
are you?
not.
Yep, you lose
So,
your identity.
Yeah, no, doesn't work.
Nah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That was incredible.
And thank you again, everyone, for voting. I'll do the polls every Sunday on my Instagram, and we'll plug that at the end.
Yes, I love it. I know I voted. It was
Thank
a
you,
yes
girl.
for me. And I reposted it, so who knows who was blessed by that.
Sometimes when I see my friends that have seen it and didn't vote, I'm like, how you gonna not vote on my poll? Come on, guys.
I need a vote. What you doing? I love it. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And I think now would be a wonderful time to go into our special segment. Oprah's supposed
Oh, one second. My mouse
We were
is
just
froze.
kidding.
Oh, here we go.
Your journey to become more inspired and connected to the deeper world around us starts right now.
Yes, this is our special segment where we share things that we will take into our everyday lives this week to evolve and become better. But before we jumped into that, I wanted to just share something really quick so you guys can get a full picture of how amazing joy is. This was from the Washington Post, and it says, if you only read one book of poems this summer, make it An American Sunrise. Every step of the journey is deeply moving, rich and deeply engaging. An American Sunrise creates bridges of understanding while reminding readers to face and remember the past. So that was something by Elizabeth Lund, and I just appreciated that. And so one thing that stood out to me is one quick thing I'm going to read for our special segment, but this stood out to me this week and I wanted to share. The atmosphere is heated and we are being called to rise, not as reactionary forces, but as initiating agents of transformation. A new way is needed to transform our world. This new way is demanding that we meet the moment and stand with our hearts open to look at what we have not wanted to address together. So this kind of relates to your poll, us being all connected and to what we can do. So for my super soul, own your soul moment, I really want to honor this post and be mindful of my moments and keep my heart open and realize everything that I'm doing really is kind of connected to the whole, and just kind of being aware of that. And I want to be an initiating agent of transformation.
I
So
like that.
that's just what's going to be on my heart and mind. And joy really, this episode made me kind of think of that. Yeah.
I think for me, I'm actually feeling really good about recent transformations I've made and recent breakthroughs in my mindset. So I kind of just want to continue practicing that and listening to the inner voice and just trusting that I know more than I think I know. And sometimes a routine doesn't mean it's right. And just checking in with, why am I still doing the things I'm doing? And is it still benefiting me? And just kind of realizing that sometimes the things you like about yourself the most. For me, it's being structured, and routine can also be your biggest downfall. And I found out that sometimes it can hurt me, and I feel like I finally am finding the balance. So just want to continue that.
That is so amazing, and I'm really proud of you, and I think you've been doing a great job with that. But we cannot dive into this because we're running out of time, but if you guys have not seen Stranger Than Fiction with Will Ferrell,
I've only seen little bits, honestly.
It's what you just said. So when you watch this film,
I should add that to my watch list.
Just watch the film and you'll understand why I'm telling you to watch it.
I will.
Okay. So that's all for today. But before we get out of here, Haley J and I would love to read you an amazing poem. It's the Eagle poem by Joy Harjo. So close your eyes, kick your feet up, and let's get into this.
With the journey.
Yeah. To pray, you open your whole self to sky, to earth, to sun, to moon, to one whole voice that is you.
And know there is more that you can't see, can't hear, can't know except in moments, steadily growing and in languages that aren't always sound but other circles of motion.
Like eagle that Sunday morning over Salt River, circled in blue sky, in wind swept our hearts clean with sacred wings. We see you, see ourselves, and know that we must take the utmost care and kindness in all things.
Breathe in, knowing we are made of all this, and breathe knowing we are truly blessed because we're born, and die soon within a true circle of motion, like eagle rounding out the morning inside of us.
We pray that it will be done in beauty. In beauty. Thank you guys so much for watching. Yay. We so enjoyed this. Make sure to tune in next week. Same time, same place.
I'm going to play that to sleep tonight.
I know. I'm like, that was nice. I'm your host, Jamie Alexander, and you can find me on Instagram at Jamie Alexander.
And I'm Hey Jay. You can find me Instagram and Twitter at HeyJ, HAYJ_. We will see you next Monday.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of After.
On behalf of our BHL staff, we would like to thank you for tuning in to Black Hollywood Live, the world's first digital broadcast network devoted entirely to urban entertainment and pop culture. Check out our Black Hollywood Live YouTube page for even more great programming and amazing content, and be sure to subscribe and like our channel when you do. I'm your BHL host, Nakia Monet, and you can find me on all social media at Kiki Boom Boom or at Black Hollywood Live. Black Hollywood Live, Hollywood redefined.